Okay, today's video we're talking about Quora Ads. From Quora.com, running ads on there. This video is going to explain why everybody, and I mean everybody, as the title says, you should be considering the Quora Ads for your business. I will admit right off the top, Quora Ads is not going to build you a multi-million-dollar a year company just from Quora Ads. The video here is more about how to strategically use Quora Ads and the key opportunity that's available there for most businesses to earn a little bit extra revenue. You know, that some extra sales that are going to deliver in excess of 10-to-1 return might get you, a few extra $100,000 a year in sales or something like that. But this is what at least PPC I think should be about, which is there's never one golden ticket. You do something on one site, one platform, you master it, you get it dialed in, you go to the next. And Quora Ads is another key piece to a lot of companies, PPC ad programs that I've helped in the past. And so I'm making this video explaining to you what I've done there, a few different examples of where it's worked for other companies, how to implement this for yourself, and of course, why it works and what are some tips and tricks on introducing it so you get the same kind of results, okay? So with all that said, I'll give you a quick prelude about why Quora Ads, why it works, why you should use it, and then we'll get into how to actually effectively use the strategy and how to get these results. Some of these other companies that I've tried it on have gotten and should be able to get as well in your case. So just like how Google search ads work, or should work for you right now. So basically, in other words, if you're not using Google search ads already and you're going to consider Quora as something that you're starting out with, 90% of the time that's not what I'm going to say is the best move for myself. And so therefore, and I work on everything, services, products, B2B, B2C. Why? Because you can't really beat people that are ready to buy the product now and actively looking for it. In some situations, it's so competitive, you're going against billion-dollar a year companies that will run their ads at a loss, and you'll literally be fighting a losing war. Which some of these other platforms can be, you can get you some sales. Google search is just never going to be there for you. Most of the time, it will be, and so respectively, it's about going after still the stuff that works the best, and then you go to the other platforms as you need to, with whatever makes sense and has the highest return with the least effort. Should obviously come first. But like with Google Ads, Quora Ads work just as beautifully or even more in specific placements that are barely going to cost you any money. So these can work better than your Google Ads. It's just they're going to have, of course, less volume in general, 99% of the time. Returns are going to be better. And so with there's some key opportunities there for using Quora for you. Anybody can go and sign up an account there to advertise just like you can on Google or Facebook. And you can go after these opportunities to make yourself some extra money. Now, what are these opportunities? So a lot of people, this goes for all PPC, so get a bit of a rant before I get into it. They'll set up an ad account and they want to be done in 5 or 10 minutes. Rarely does that work. 9 out of 10 people who try to do PPC to starting out make no money because that's what they'll do. They'll try it, they'll think it doesn't work, and they're done. When really it's about how it's done. And how it's done, a lot of, of course you have to have a good effective ad and effective site to advertise in an offer that's effective. But respectively, the targeting, there's so many targeting options available to you through all these different ad platforms, and you're not going to be like, oh, Facebook works or it doesn't. No. There's so many targeting options there, and there's a few in there that technically would work for your business, and most of them won't. Maybe it's just one or two. Quora it's the same way. There's some key things in there that works for most businesses, and most of the garbage in there will never work. And sorry, Quora, I'm not saying your platform's garbage. It could work for different people, but respectively, when I'm trying to make a PPC campaign work for a client, they're not going to give me the leeway to run it at a loss forever to try to get it to eventually work. They need to have it work fairly quickly in the beginning in most situations. So I'm going to go after very specific opportunities, which is very specific questions which are being asked on Quora that pertain to my business, in which if I hopped in there, or at least know that if I spoke to that person in that exact situation that's interested in that exact question, I can siphon off a sale basically from it. So in other words, Quora questions, you can actually advertise. So the key thing is here, you can advertise on Quora on very specific questions. You can literally cherry pick and go through, find 5 questions in which you want to have your ad show up on, and only show up on those 5 and those 5 only. Respectively, that's not what people inherently naturally think to do, because it's not going to get you a whole lot of action. They're going to advertise on a general topic. That in and itself is going to rarely work unless you've got a really hot offer. Not to say it can't, but for most people that are, regular markets that aren't doing what they're doing is totally new and novel and hardly anybody else can do it, you're going to just stick, or at the very least start with just going after key answers that in which if in general those are winning answers to get your ads on. And what those winning answers are for almost every business, as I've found, is people asking 2 main questions. Is it any good? What is the best? So in other words, they'll look, when I say, is it any good? They'll be looking for specific solutions that are, i.e. your competitors, is insert name of competitor any good? And then that's literally what they'll ask. If they have a question like that in your niche, you need to mark it down in a list for your ads to be on there. And then there'll be a bunch of BS answers, as you know, because you know your market better than anybody else, and all these non-experts will come in there and answer. Doesn't matter. All that matters is the type of person who would ask that question is your key audience. That's basically what I call fence dwellers or fence sitters that are almost ready to purchase if they would buy if they felt confident about who to buy from, but if they don't feel confident who to buy from, half the time or less, or more I should say, they're just not going to buy from anybody. So you're going to give them the confidence here. And so there's that. And then the other main question, what is the best? The other question you'll mainly see on Quora is, what is the best, insert what you sell here, to buy? Going one step further, I don't have it listed here. In some markets, if it's in a new market, it would be, how do I do X? And then I would also have those questions marked as an ad I would want, or questions I would want my ad on. You could do that later. Respectively, that only works in some of the times, but it's something to try once these first 2 are working. Is it any good and what's the best? Any questions related to that in your market, you're going to mark out and you're going to advertise on. But respectively, what I've done here with this, I believe that's called a Venn diagram. It is actually not just this isn't just an opportunity that's related to Quora and Quora only. These questions, as they're asked anywhere on the web in which I can have, and there's ad or advertising space available, I'm going to get my ad on all of them, because inherently it doesn't matter if they're asking on Quora or some other place. They all work the same to improve your sales. And I know that because I've done it enough times and I've measured what the effect are. And how do I know that getting my ads on these 5 answers works is because, again, or what I'm trying to get to here is I'll not just waste the custom ad and the idea of getting in front of the person that asks those questions like Quora. I'm getting it anywhere else they're asking it on the web all at once as a part of an overarching strategy, web-wide strategy in my market. Going back to what I said before, generally speaking, you'll start with the low-hanging fruit in a market, search ads, people looking to buy what you sell, and then you will go to like Bing, and then there's an order of things. And at a certain point, I'm always looking for the next best thing to work on that's going to get me the next best set of returns for the effort put in as well. And that'll get to what this fence sitter strategy, which will roll out the same kind of ad language that we develop for this, for that client's business, and then roll it out everywhere. So I talked about where and how it's kind of done on, well, not how, but where it's done on Quora. There's specific questions in which the ad goes on, and you do it, and there's an exact list that you'll tell Quora you want your ads on. The other place, second place, is YouTube answers. So on YouTube, where they're asking, is XYZ competitor product or service any good? Or what's the best, insert XYZ. that you sell, those in those situations, there's two ads actually that you can get on those ads. There's the banner ad that shows up on the video. It's kind of annoying, as you know. You have to click to get rid of it. And then you have the video itself. You can have as a what they call an in-stream ad. So like, as you know, you click the skip button, and then because you're watching like this video, then an ad pops up and you have to click skip. That's in-stream ad. That would be the second place. So it's not so much about which of those ads work better. Individually, they're not going to do a great job, just to let you know up front, on paper, showing how many people click through and buy right away, because some people will. But more than half of the value is the influence you'll have on the buyer at those key times, which you know probably will buy, especially since you're going to be giving them the key information they need. They're going to read your information on your ad, click through, and what's on the other side of your ad. They're going to know they're going to buy, but they're not going to buy right then. They're going to buy a week from now when they get paid. They're going to type your brand name in Google, and they're going to buy, and so it'll be difficult to track. Just know going in, if you do want to see if you're analyzing things from an ROI perspective, you go before, implement all these at once, and then do year-over-year analysis of your sales for the next 90 days, and then see the lift you're getting, and compare that to what you've invested in this whole process. So anyway, but regarding that YouTube ad, it's the banner ad and the in-stream ad on specific videos. YouTube's smart in that they let you advertise on just certain videos and those videos alone. So I can, like with the Quora strategy I told you, there'll be certain videos in which you can advertise on and stick to only those videos. It's tempting to just quickly go in there and say any video regarding my topic. No, it's not going to work nearly as good as if you were hand selecting videos, and specifically people that are these fence sitters, as I call them. Well, I'll do it there. I'll go after YouTube competitor reviews. So these two are kind of linked. YouTube answers, so basically where somebody's answering the question, what's the best, is linked to this. And the competitor reviews, where a YouTuber is reviewing the competitor, like, you know, they have a channel and they're reviewing that product or service, explaining if it's any good. So any of those, either the questions are asked or answered on YouTube, I'm getting both available ad spots on those specific channels. So those kind of could have been grouped together. But moving forward here, industry review sites. So generally most industries out there will have a review site. Somebody will start a review site and review all the products in your site, and then that whole business is kind of shady, because if you didn't know, obviously, if your whole business revolves around reviewing just products in that one specific market, there's probably going to be some under-the-table stuff going on. At the very least, they're going to get an affiliate cut from everybody who clicks through, which is a conflict of interest already anyway. It just is. But most of the time I've seen that you'll pay for better placement. You won't get the exact verbiage you want, but they'll place you at the top of the list, which kind of makes things also one-sided, so you can take it for what it will. But they're on these sites. They also usually have AdSense on there, so in other words, banner ads, in which you can then target those individual sites site-wide, which is, you'll want every page of those sites, from Google Display Network on your Google Ads account. So like YouTube, like Quora, you could specifically find the URL of those sites and say, I want my ad that I'm going to create, basically in the language I'm going to create for an ad for all these other places on those sites too, because those are places that answer, is it any good and what is the best. And then also on select Google searches, where literally anymore, people literally type and ask Google a question. What is the best barn paint to paint my barn with? In that situation, you've already extracted opportunities for people who are looking for barn paint for sale, because that would be the best. But a close second is, what is the best barn paint to buy? Sorry. What is the best barn paint to buy? Why is that second best? Well, because the cost per click is less. Nobody else is going to go through the work to properly monetize that, because it takes a special ad, and you got to send them to a special landing page for it to technically work right. You can't just shove them. You can't just show up where they're looking for X and give them Y and send them on to buy Z, because it's not efficient and you understand why from the buyer's perspective. That's not even what they wanted. So you're going to be paying more per click than somebody who actually solves that person's exact problem. But if you're going to go through the trouble of figuring out what to show these people, you might as well answer these questions on Google. The cost per click, whereas from somebody who's looking to buy, it might be $2. It might be 20 cents or 50 cents for somebody asking a question. And as long as you've done it the right way and have the right ad that answers the question, send them to the right place, that further answers the question that they're asking, it'll be just as profitable, if not more profitable, if you actually do it with skill, than the buying terms can be. But respectively, you could think of getting your ad out here in the way that I'm about to explain to you here, like buying up general real estate in your market. So your goal is to blanket your market with ads wherever you possibly can, because the more times you have your ads, the more people are going to think as they're searching around and researching, wow, this company seems like they're the best ones because they're the most authoritative, because that's how people tie trust with what they see the most, kind of. And so obviously you can't advertise where, you only have so much ad budget, but if it pays for itself, you want that ad, just because from the standpoint that you want to smother the market with what seems like your ad everywhere, so you seem like the default choice, and then that's where the real money comes in once you hit that kind of pinnacle or peak in your market and your marketing and development plan for your marketing. So you can think of this as just buying up real estate in your market where where a buyer who may not buy for sure in your market, but who strongly do, see you everywhere, and now because they've seen you even in multiple places or in general, that they just think you're the best, and even though they don't know for sure why you're the best, but they just think that because they've seen you enough. If you repeat something enough, it becomes a truth, regardless if it's true or not. I don't advocate tricking people, but this is how human psychology works. So anyway, you get the picture here. Now, where have I used this fence dweller strategy before? I can tell you right off the bat, before and after, where I told you where we would implement all of these different places and measure sales before and after. Routinely, we're getting between 10 and 100% increase on our sales volume, advertising in all these following spaces, with somewhere around a 10-to-1 return on what the ad space costs. Because your competitors, why is this happening? Because your competitors they're too lazy to do this. Even if they see this video, 99% of you guys aren't going to do this, even though it's free money. And so the ad space that you're buying up is so relevant to you and your market, yet so irrelevant and wasted by everybody else, you have a tremendous arbitrage opportunity. So you're going to eat it all up. You're going to put the work in to take advantage of the opportunity, and once it's set up, it'll work for years afterwards. But that's pretty routinely what you can get if you just do, and I'm going to give you the exact strategy here next. But respectively, why don't I'll tell you about the strategy, then I'll tell you about the example companies where I've used it for, so you can kind of understand how it's used. I can tell you it works for products or services, B2B or B2C, it doesn't matter. This all works for everything. In case you're wondering, but my business, No, you can do this 99% of the time. But in terms of what you show up in all these, what I call key real estate in your market, where people's on the fence, getting ready to buy, if you provided them the right information at the time of researching it, you are going to have on your ad itself something like, and this is just something I've concluded after testing, works the best. You could come up with your own spin on things. So ABC has the best, so the ABC being your company, ABC has the best, and then you're going to insert the name of your product. ABC has the best barn paint, voted #1 by Barn Paint Authority, whatever the authority is in which has reviewed your product, in which says it's the best. And so part of this, in order to get these results, I would recommend, even though I talked about there's usually a review site in every industry, pay what it costs to get your product reviewed by them, so you can say you were reviewed by an authority, so you can plug this into this general ad formula. If you don't, you can use something else. But if you can plug in an actual independent review, or just send it to 3 or 4 influencers that are in your market that would actually know how to review a product like yours accurately, or accurately enough. So you could say, ABC, your company has the best barn paint, voted #1 by insert, Joe Schmo influencer, and then with that, you link them directly to the publication that says you're the #1, so they know that you're not BSing them, and they'll verify it for themselves. And ideally, if you paid good money, you've got a long-form review, so you can see how this can work. I'm looking, what is the best barn paint? And then I see this ad, ABC has the best barn paint, voted #1 by Barn Paint Authority Guide. They click on this, they go to the article as a full review of not only your product saying it's #1 right away to confirm that it's the right place, but then in detail, all this technical mumbo jumbo they don't give a crap about. They just want to know, can I stop searching and know that I'm not going to get ripped off on this product, and is it going to actually do what I need it to do, so it's possible that this product works for my need and it's not a bullshit market. Let's just say that in case that's part of their thought. They read it and then they get to the end of the article, even if hopefully they give you a direct link back to your site, but even if not, they'll just go to Google and buy, or more often than not, like I said, they'll read it and they'll say, okay, I'm going to paint my barn. And they don't buy it right there instantly. When they go to paint their barn, they get paid, or when they talk to their wife or whatever, they get home. They're a lot of times researching at work. They don't buy it until they get home, buy from a different device. Therefore, you're not going to see the conversion numbers from the ads themselves really add up to the full effect of what the sales it produces. But when they eventually buy, you're in there. And that's how it basically works. That's the funnel. You can tweak it for what you need, for what you will. Respectively, that's in general how it works. If you're a local business, it'll be a little bit different, and you actually can definitely use this for a local business, and I'll explain why. But before I do that, here's the list though of the national companies that I did it for, and then I'll tell you a local example where even if you're a local business, this exact strategy can work. Even if people are looking local for a local company that's best, you can still advertise on Quora where people are they're looking for particularly who your franchise is in your area, and then point them to an article that basically explains why the franchise is bullshit and that you should go with a local company who knows the local market. Well, whatever. Ultimately, you got to give them the reason why you're the best. It has to make logical sense for this to work, and that's what we're going to do there. But anyway, markets where I've done this before and got 10 to 100% results, custom mailboxes. They make a custom mailbox, high-end mailbox. With this, the question where they're asked, how do I, get a customized mailbox, even though they didn't word it exactly like that and I'm not giving the full questions that people ask there in that case to give away what sub-niche this is, so people won't copy their business and campaigns. That would actually work, in addition to, is it any good and why is it the best? Respectively, Quora was the big one in that case. Respectively, I did mention it before, but Quora generally has a better return. The reason why I made this video specifically about Quora is I get a better return from the few Quora questions that we have than all these other places in general. Why? Because the Quora traffic, if they're already on Quora, these people are serious. Versus if you're Googling something, maybe you're serious, maybe you're not. And on YouTube, there's a lot of other crap to click on. But on Quora, once they click through your ad, you pretty much got them. And the cost per click is really inexpensive because people don't know how to use Quora Ads great yet. So anyway, that's, I'm sure there's some other smaller reasons, but that's in general from my analysis on it, what the case is. But most of the return we got in that particular case actually was from Quora, even though we did some on YouTube as well as Google. And there's no industry review site in that case, so we got at least a 25% increase in the amount of money our overall PPC was driving as far as overall revenue in that particular case. Mattresses, so guy sold mattresses. In the mattress case, you're buying something, you're going to do quite a bit of research beforehand. There's an industry review site that we heavily pounded. We also, on all the Quora questions where people were asking, A certain mattress is good for side sleeping. What's the best mattress for my back? You answer all those questions in Quora. Very profitable traffic coming from there. Just as profitable as traffic coming and having banner ads running on the industry review sites there. And of course on YouTube, less profitable, but profitable even the same, and in select Google searches, but those YouTube and Google wasn't as profitable as in the industry review sites and the Quora questions in that case. Usually Quora and the industry review sites come out on the top, and because very few markets in general have an industry review site, then Quora in general is the most of my go-to, even though quite a few markets do have their industry review site, and if you do, you take advantage of that as well. Sales training is the other one. So as far as a service goes, this also works even for B2B services. So in that particular case, somebody's looking, should I hire XYZ for sales training? There's some big names in that space. And in that situation, they're trying to see if that person's a scam or not, essentially. And then you just send them on to information that explains that a third party reviewed XYZ sales training service and they got results, and therefore you can trust it. It's like the perfect information that person needs. Therefore, you can understand why these Quora ads would work. So with that said, there is no industry review sites that really for that, but there's a whole bunch of different YouTube videos about that, which also work. Less of an ROI in general than Quora, but work, and Google searches. Respectively, a lot of people asking questions on like Reddit, and I hope that someday Reddit will allow us to advertise on specific threads, because that would be huge. I want to say that it would probably do as good as Quora, and with triple the volume, but we don't have that yet. But so anyway, we have that, and then the last example here is about services as well. A restoration company, like if your house burns down or is flooded, companies that come in and fix it. It's a service, but a local service. And I said I was going to tell you how this works for a local company, for you guys running local businesses as well. So in this particular situation, there's ServPro and there's ServiceMaster, two nationwide, the main nationwide chains there. And people are looking for questions like on Quora, is ServiceMaster any good? In that situation, you could show up and then explain, because it's hard for the person to know that they shouldn't hire them. Even though I'm not ServiceMaster, don't come after me. If you're going to if you're in a similar situation though, you got to have a time to get the user's attention to explain why they shouldn't go with the known authority in the space. And as you know, if this is you, there's definitely reasons why they shouldn't, but explaining it, unless you've got them on the phone already, basically, and talking to them directly, that's very difficult to do on your website or what have you, even if they're coming in off of Google from when they're looking to buy in that short time frame that, their short attention span that you have there. In the situation where they are showing they are willing to do a little bit more research, you grab them. You grab them where you can. Where they're looking to see if ServiceMaster is who they should hire, you have an ad that says, essentially, before you hire ServiceMaster, there, something to know about local firms that ServiceMaster and other similar chains don't do or have, that you should know about before you buy, is the type of language. That was an exact language, but that's a kind of general idea. And the ads that we would have showing up there, as well as in other places, and respectively, so for a local business, what you can do that type of thing, maybe you have a different idea, but the thing about PPC is you can geo-target any display advertising or any PPC you do. So unless they search for that question in your local market, the ad won't show up. There's a negative targeting in addition to the specific threads. You can target by location in general, okay? And the same thing goes for YouTube. If they're looking for information about what's the best restoration company that you can hire, if they're not in Dallas and you only serve Dallas, well, your ad is not going to show up on that video. So that is an additional thing you have to do as a local company. If you're in a regional company, then, by the way, what I would recommend you do, instead of doing something like what, as I described here, owning your space here in your region, I would do it city by city, and it'll work 2 to 3 times better if you say, before you hire ServiceMaster or a company like ServiceMaster in Denver, you should check out why, as a Denveronian, or however they call themselves, why you should consider what your other secondary options are first. If you add that little local, spark there where you're actually mentioning the city, even though they're basically watching a video about ServiceMaster, and ServiceMaster being a national company, you'll have much higher click-through rate. Again, 2 to 3x the click-through rate what you would get not saying Denver on it, because it's going to look like more, oh, what do they know? This is another national company. I'm searching about ServiceMaster. I've never heard of them. Versus if you say local, now you really got their attention. But that would be a way to execute this for a local company. You have a little bit of a different spin on it, but in general, the same rules apply. And so, anyway, I would recommend this to anybody, again, regardless if you're doing products or services, B2B, B2C, whatever. Find out where these fence sitters are, come up with a general strategy and place to send people to prove why you're the best, and let your ads do the work. If you like this video, I have a ton of videos about other PPC strategies on this channel. You should check them out if you haven't looked into them before or already. If you want to make a lot of money with PPC and are interested in this in general, a little bit more. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns that are guaranteed to work for our clients, in which we have to guarantee the results, and which I use for my own purposes for that. If you'd like to see information along those lines, you can find it there. Apart from all that, if you have any questions about Quora specifically, anything that I've learned that works or doesn't work, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel within a day or two. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this makes you quite a bit extra money on top of what you're doing or in general, and see you on the next one.